Hey YouTube, it's Luke here. I'm the RCMD and today I'm going to review the Traxxas Slash 4x4 for you. This is an awesome truck. I just got it not too long ago. I was debating on something new for the summertime. I live in a subdivision locally here and sometimes I don't have the space to fly bigger helicopters or planes, so I wanted a nice truck that I could jump around in my backyard. I have a little track out back, take down to the beach by the lake and just have some fun with. So after a lot of deliberation, I guess I finally decided to go with the Slash. Now there was a lot of videos on YouTube about the Slash two-wheel drive and the Slash Ultimate, but nothing with this in the middle of the road kind of Slash here. Now this is it is the 4x4. It uses the VXL brushless system, but it's not the Ultimate. Really the only upgrades to the Ultimate are like some metal parts. There's aluminum anodized hubs and steering linkages and some other things like that, which in my opinion really isn't that big of a deal because I'm probably going to beat the crap out of this and break it anyways. I'll just replace those myself. So it saved me a little bit of money. Comes in a typical Traxxas box with everything you need to operate it. It came with an 8-cell nickel metal hydride battery, 8.4 volt. Came with a wall charger for that, which works well, but it's a little bit slower. If you don't have another charger already, I'd encourage you to get something else. There's a few really good chargers out there for the money. Comes with a transmitter, pretty much everything you need except for AA batteries to put into the transmitter there. Now this truck is a 1/10 scale. It's actually pretty big. It's a little bigger than the Rustler. I have a Rustler too, and I was thinking it was going to be about the same size. This is a little bit larger, which makes me happy. It has a little more ground clearance than what I had expected. The tires are a little smaller than, like, say, the T-Max or the E-Max or anything like that, so it's definitely not in the monster truck category, which obviously it's a stadium truck, but it's still decent for beating around over big bumps and over jumps and things like that. So it's definitely lived up to my expectations so far. I've had the chance to drive it maybe 4 or 5 times. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. The steering servo is powerful. It's really nice. It works well. Everything on here is waterproof. I've had this thing buried in mud a couple times, buried in water. There's really no issues with it whatsoever in terms of it's waterproof or water resistance. The body on this vehicle is very nice, well designed. It's got good graphics. It holds up to crashes really well. I've really had some bad accidents with this, and everything seems to be in pretty good shape. Now the Slash itself, you can see the inside. You have your, this is the Valinian VXL 3S electronic speed controller. And one thing that I always do, I'm sure you can see here, to all of my Valinian products is put that fan on there. They make a special ESC fan that just plugs right into the ESC. It's very simple and hassle-free to install. It's like 18 bucks or 20 bucks. Definitely get that. It's worth it, especially if you're running 3S lipos. It'll keep you from burning up your ESC. So the other thing I do is I purchase these Integy, and this is true for all of my VXL motors. I purchase these little Integy heat sinks with a fan on them. Now I kind of retrofit my own. Most of them come with 2 fans and a little bigger heat sink. I cut mine short and just use a single fan with just the smaller piece of the heat sink. I just use a Dremel to kind of cut that. But that works well. I haven't had any overheating problems. I have ran it on a 3-cell lipo a little bit, but I will say I like the performance of the 2-cell lipo a little bit better. If you're about to order this and you're not sure just to run it on nickel metal, the nickel metal hydride battery is okay for the first little bit, and then it really backs off on the power and the acceleration. You'll get twice the acceleration, maybe not the top speed, but you'll get twice the acceleration and the punch out of a 2S lipo that you will out of that nickel metal in its brand new state. My recommendation for this is buy a 2S, maybe 5,000. Traxxas makes a 5,800 milliamp hour lipo. That's going to be your best bet for this. It's a lot of power, it's a lot of punch, it works really well. So keep that in mind if you're ordering this. The shocks that come on it are really good. They have a great dampening ability. They're typical Traxxas shocks, so they come with little spacers. You can adjust the ride height. Now, one thing to mention about the suspension and the spacers on this, when I first purchased this, I was jumping it off of this dirt jump in my backyard, and it's a pretty well designed jump. It's got a nice taper to it. This is always flying nose down. So one thing that I did is, there's a battery spacer that comes with this. if you take the spacer from the back and move it to the front of the vehicle, it'll put the weight of the battery more towards the back. That's one thing you can do to kind of help out. And then the other thing is I put a little extra spacer in the front wheels, so the front suspension's a little bit stiffer. I think it prevents it from loading up as much on the takeoff, but now I'm getting it to fly pretty level for the most part. So just a couple little tips for you. It totally depends on the jump you're hitting and how fast you're going and things like that, but you may experience that as well. Nothing bad to be said about the vehicle itself though. The little receiver compartment is waterproof. If you've never had a Traxxas product before, they make great products in terms of the ESC, the motor, the waterproof receiver box, the servos, everything else. They pretty much got it locked down. So nothing to complain about in the powertrain of this or in the reception, the electronics, none of that. It's all really good. So the bumpers on this work really well. They're really flexible. I was going to replace them with some aftermarket ones, and then I thought, well, I'm going to beat it up pretty bad, so I better not. It's better to just leave these ones. I've hit things pretty hard with these. I've had some bad collisions, and they've held up like incredibly. So I'm really pleased with those. Same with the body mounts. In rolling it several times and hitting several things, I haven't had the body mounts break. They're pretty good. And the linkages, the toe linkages and the steering linkages, they're all good from Traxxas. They're metal. They do have plastic ends on them, but you're not going to really bend these. You're not going to get the plastic to break off or anything like that. So I would say, to be honest with you, leave this thing pretty much stock from the factory. This doesn't need a ton of upgrades. If you total it down the road and you want to add aluminum parts to make it look cool, hey, that's your choice. But just for bashing, for fun, for jumping, this has been really exciting. I've had a lot of fun with this. The tires that come on are really cool. They're a harder compound, so they're going to be good for asphalt. They work really well in the dirt. Wet grass is a little bit slick. It's tough to catch traction, but they're not real big lugs on the tires or anything. So the wheels and tires I'm really happy with. They're obviously very cool scale bead locks with BF Goodrich tires on them. It's got a really cool look to it. First thing my wife said when I bought this, she goes, "Wow, I really like that truck. Normally I hate all of your RC stuff, but I really like that truck." So that was a good thing. In the center here you'll see there's a blue anodized drive shaft. It is a metal drive shaft, and it's actually covered by a clear plastic cover, which is cool. It keeps the garbage from underneath the truck spraying up into it, which you're going to get the truck full of mud and stuff anyway, but just a little added protection. From the bottom, you'll kind of notice if you look straight on at this, maybe like this, you can see that the bottom of the chassis right here sits a little bit higher up than actually in the where the differentials are. This is okay, but what I'm noticing is that over time it's tearing up these skid plates a little bit. I guess it's better the skid plates than the actual chassis of the vehicle, so I'm not going to complain too much, but you're definitely going to bottom this out if you hit some huge jumps with it. So center of gravity wise, it's okay. If you're going pretty wild around a corner, you'll get it to flip over. It usually always lands on its wheels, which is a good thing. I've had T-Max and E-Max and some other vehicles, Summit, they always land on the roof. So if you do roll it, it typically flies back over on the wheels, which is cool. They do make a low center of gravity kit for this. I've seen it out there. Maybe when I do wind up damaging this, I will purchase that low center of gravity kit. Essentially, it just lowers the chassis itself to the level of the axles down here, so that you're not wasting that space. It's bringing the weight down, but still giving you the same amount of ground clearance that you had before. So might be a cool upgrade. I'll maybe let you know as soon as I wind up doing that. But the transmitter, 2.4 gigahertz, typical Traxxas transmitter. It's got a multi-function control on it, which is really nice. From the factory, it's set to control the steering sensitivity. So if you're going to be doing a lot of track driving or things like that, you can back that sensitivity down so it doesn't turn as tight. And if you're going to be doing some real technical stuff, you can turn it up and you'll get wild servo action. So really neat feature on that. Obviously, a steering trim left and right, and that multi-function control is programmable. So you can actually program it to control like your throttle sensitivity, servo sensitivity, whatever you want to do there. So overall, in the broad spectrum, I'm very happy I purchased this. It's a substantial amount of money, $399 plus your 2S LiPo. You figure $450 for all that. The advantage to this is if you purchase on Tower Hobbies, I used I think it had, especially if you're a Tower Club member, you get better coupons than just on the homepage. I think I got $70 off of this. I wound up being under $400 out the door with the LiPo. So use the coupons, take advantage of that. I mean, it's there for you. It'll definitely save you some money. I can say this is a good investment for $400. It's held up really well to what I've put it through so far. I can't imagine having a more fun vehicle. I've got some other monster trucks, so I didn't really need one. This is a good hybrid. It's great for the street, it's great for the track, grass, backyard jumps, mud, whatever you want to do in the sand. This kind of is a catch-all. And I've heard this referred to as the Timex before. Basically, it just keeps going. It's not the most expensive thing on the market, but it's well built, it's well thought out, it's well engineered, and it keeps right on ticking. So definitely true of this vehicle. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Anything you want to see it do or see me show you, I'll be glad to do that for you. But overall, if you're on the line about purchasing this or purchasing the Rustler or the Stampede, I would stay away from the Stampede. I'd lean more towards this or the Rustler. But if you need four-wheel drive, this is the only way to go. The four-wheel drive on this thing is awesome. Makes it controllable, makes it a lot of fun. So, all right, well, that wraps everything up. But before you go, why don't you watch some footage of me ripping around in the yard a little bit, having some fun so you can see how this thing performs. But thanks again, guys. I'll talk to you later on. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and leave me any comments, questions that you have. Thanks.
There, now you can wipe it. Oh!